Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what day trading opportunities there may be today. You're going to see my analysis and my strategy, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. So starting off on the daily, what can we see from the daily? Well, yesterday we've rebounded back with a bullish day. Previous day, Tuesday, see we had this massive bearish engulfing, and then Wednesday now we came into what I described as the daily order block, took some sell side liquidity clearly from below the lows and closed out as a bullish day. Inversely on DXY, of course, we've closed out as a bearish engulfing, completely engulfing that bullish Tuesday actually. So we had taken the previous weekly high and previous daily high buy side liquidity, so liquidity above all of these highs, which you'll see more clearly on the lower time frame, which gave that liquidity sponsorship to now seek out sell side liquidity, which you can see we did. We went and took the previous daily lows and the lows of the day before that. So now we are quite near to the previous weekly low. We'll see that a lot more clearly on the lower time frame. So last thing to discuss, I'd say on the daily, is we are still in this discount. There is still some show of intention to continue going towards the premium, toward the premium imbalance and order block, and of course the inverse on DXY for the discount. So let's drop down to the 4 hour and see what that's going to show us. So on the 4 hour, just to step back into yesterday's analysis for a second, because it is the base for today, we had our SMC divergence at the lows here, and that was the early indicator of strength on EU, because of course we made the higher high here on DXY and refused to make the lower low on EU. Now, other than that, if we add with the confluences of, we took previous weekly high buy side liquidity, previous high buy side liquidity just from an old high beyond it here. So that's so much buy side liquidity now that had been taken on DXY. It's only natural for it to seek out a discount and some sell side liquidity. So that's where I said we would probably have some bullish behavior from here. Obviously no telling where that would stop. So even though it looked like we was having that bearish internal breakdown, I said it's not confirmed yet, just simply because this is a good area for price to reject from on DXY. So we may still have that bullish intent within the market to go higher towards this premium here and make a new higher high. That's not happened yet, so I'm not making too much predictions here, but we got that nice bullish day here, and I would say we're still going to probably seek out some buy side liquidity. Just using yesterday as the base, we took that sell side liquidity internally here, and we took loads of buy side liquidity on DXY, and now we've come down to these lows. We did sweep some internal sell side liquidity there, but we could see if price wants to come down and take that previous weekly low as well, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, there's some buy side liquidity resting above these highs here and this previous daily high. So we're going to have to keep an eye on what price may be seeking out, given that we took sell side liquidity or buy side liquidity on DXY. Now looking at today as well, we've left behind an imbalance here with an order block at this point here. Price obviously may want to seek that out. Now price may want to take buy side liquidity again first before coming back to fill these gaps here. So we'll have to see how that plays out on the lower time frame. So there may be some sort of mixed pictures because we internally broke down, to make a new low. But like I said yesterday, we could possibly read the 4 hour internal leg from this low to this high up here. Therefore on the 1 hour, we may have a mixed picture in comparison to the 4 hour. So we have to wait for this confirmed lower high here, in my opinion, on the 4 hour to say, this pullback's over. So hope I didn't ramble too much. Let's go down to the 1 hour and see what that shows. So here on the 1 hour, we still have our bearish leg that we created on Tuesday. We have now moved into the premium of that leg, right? Pulling back from this 1 hour order block, the sell side liquidity I mentioned, which was like inducement for this order block here. So we had the sell side liquidity sponsorship, SMC divergence, and the 1 hour POY, along with DXY taking loads of buy side liquidity as well. That sponsored this move up here, right? So that's very clear. We're back into a premium. Of course, in premiums, we can look for sells. Prices now, you can see, created an Asia range here, and we've swept above that now. So we'd like to see what price has done with that. The last hour, if we zoom in a little bit, closed out as a high test candle, which is great after sweeping buy side liquidity. Again, like I said, we're working in a bearish leg, so we may be under the assumption that now this high is going to hold. So we'll see how structure forms on a lower time frame to go with that bias of the high holding, and then we go for this weak low, or at least we're targeting these liquidity imbalances. So price may be creating that short bias here, at least in my opinion, right? Whether that means we use this liquidity that we've swept above here, or price comes up for the previous daily high or these previous highs, we're going with liquidity, right? So we wait for liquidity and then structure to show the intention of which way it's going to go. So that's something to bear in mind. Bearish leg, we do have resting buy side liquidity just above here, which price could head for, and we are quite close to the previous weekly and previous daily low on DXY as well. However, if we hold this area, then this becomes a weak low as well. I think I described enough of the price action on the 4 hour and then now on the 1 hour. So let's go down to the M15 and see what opportunities we may have this morning. Unfortunately, yesterday we didn't get our pullback. We had our breaker structure here, we had our sweep of sell side liquidity, all those confluences I mentioned on the higher time frame. I was simply just waiting for any pullback here to trade long, right? So directionally we were correct. Unfortunately, that doesn't make you a trader and it doesn't pay you. So yeah, yesterday price didn't do much. I think news just moved it in the afternoon, evening. Now into today, you can see this lovely range we created overnight in Asia. I do like it when it does these ranges because then the buy side or sell side liquidity sweeps are very clear. So you can see I've marked out the buy side liquidity sweep from above Asia already. Now that's a very clear rejection up there in my opinion. We're on the M15 right now. Let me zoom in. So we've taken the buy side liquidity above Asia. Other than it being buy side liquidity, which is great, and we're in a premium, the daily cycle of London or Frankfurt sweeping Asia, we head for the other side of Asia. So it'd be nice to get that clear breakdown. It may be clearer on the M5 at this point, but that is another confluence to add. As I mentioned on the 1 hour, we do have our previous daily high just above here. So I don't think it's confirmed yet. Breaker structure, at least on the M15, isn't that clear. Let's go down to the M5. Yeah, M5, nothing, no momentum really, in my opinion, has come into the market. Right, we'd be looking for some sort of breaker structure around here because that was the structural low, made the high. It would have been nice to have got that rejection and broken and closed below this low here. Right, price is just dribbling down at the moment. I don't like it when price does that because the momentum of volatility should mean from sweeping this buy side liquidity, we should have that momentum enter the market to seek out the sell side liquidity, right? It shows, you know, the orders above here and the liquidity's been taken in order for us to go in that direction. So I do like to see strong momentum from there. So we'll see how price continues. Let's annotate this possible trade anyway. So coming from this area, we would want price to break below these lows as a break of structure, which is what this arrow shows. We've already taken the buy side liquidity. We'd want to come up to an order block like this one here with a small fair value gap that it has, set our order there to trade short from the premium with the buy side liquidity, targeting whatever you usually target, right? So we'd have our order block around this area here, set our order, stops just above the high. Obviously the negatives are that we have some buy side liquidity just above here. We would have our possible internal inducement here from the pullback. Our break of structure would be very clear over here. Now the likelihood if price does break down below these lows is that we may sweep Asia already on the other side. So that's a negative again if it does that. If we were to come to the other side of Asia, I'd love to see a good strong bearish candle closure and then the pullback, rather than some sort of sweep rejection like we have up here, because it may indicate that price wants to come and take that previous daily high before making any significant move. The trade would still be valid, but it may be of less quality, of course, if we take this other side. So that's how I see it. Buy side liquidity swept, breakdown, breaker structure, nice corrective pullback if possible to a POI on the lower time frame to trade from the premium down towards the discount, filling imbalances or higher time frame imbalances, possibly going towards a week low. Of course, we also have that same sponsorship of sell side liquidity swept on DXY, and we'd also prefer DXY also had that breaker structure above the previous high here, and then a pullback for us to continue with that same direction. So I hope that's clear. Now, the other variation of this, if you wanted to be more patient, or if price was to reject this other side and you wanted to see what happens, we could have this same move up here at the previous daily high. Let's mark that one out. Say price comes, takes this high, boom, we've taken previous daily high, maybe even the high from up here, we don't know. Then price were to break down, break a structure here, and then we pull back to our order block and imbalance on a lower time frame for us to trade short from the premium with some good buy side liquidity from the previous daily high and previous daily high. And we'd have our order block and imbalance around this area, set our order here, stop loss just above the high, and target in wherever you target. So that would be the buy side liquidity that we need to be sponsored above here. Break of structure obviously around this area, inducement possibly from our corrective pullback, and then we set our order at the imbalance and order block like I said, and we trade from a premium with buy side liquidity sponsorship. And at that point we would imagine we've had this type of movement here on DXY. So we've got previous weekly, previous daily low, external sell side liquidity, right? And then we'd have our break of structure as well around that area, and for price to head for its buy side liquidity. So I think that's a great move. It would be good if price was to just do that now and not give any confusion of breaking down here and trading from here, but I think both are valid. Right now I'm only looking for sells in this area. I think this buy side liquidity sweep here is clear. The only other thing I would say that could mess around with price and not work out in our favor, it's not that there's news today, obviously it's NFP and big news tomorrow, so sometimes on the Thursday before NFP and those sort of announcements, price can just create liquidity building up for that news announcement day tomorrow. So these are the opportunities I see. I hope you gained value from that. I hope I was clear. I hope the direction was clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.